that is module number 10, which has the caption Other Means of Disposal. So, from today onwards, we will be discussing ways in which a case can be disposed of other than the trial. So, CRPC is not only providing for trial as one of the means of disposal of cases, it is providing other means by which, though the criminal proceedings have been instituted, but they do not result in full bond trial. Either they result in the acquittal or they result in conviction by other means. So these are other means of disposal of a criminal case. Other means of disposal of a criminal case necessarily does not mean the acquittal or discharge of the accused. It does not mean that if the trial does not happen, then in all the cases the accused will be rendered free of any guilt. His guilt is determined but by some other means than trial. Then you will ask me, ma'am, ये other means क्या है? No, this is not something like your Ramayan की अग्नि परीक्षा दी जाए or something like your Game of Thrones battle of the healthiest. No, it is not a battle. Trial by combat. It is not a trial by combat. It is not an Agni Pariksha. But these are some innovative ways in which the Criminal Procedure Code has tried to dispose of cases other than by trial. Basically, there are four means of disposal. Some of them are contentious and you may disagree, but still, these four means are: the first one is plea bargaining. Second one is withdrawal from prosecution. Third one is compounding of cases. And fourth one is limitation law. All four have different impact, and within the four also, depending upon the stage at which the application is moved, the result is different. So we will discuss all of them individually. Today I have thought fit to discuss plea bargaining as the means of disposal of the case. All right. So this concept of plea bargaining, I'm presenting my screen now. Shrey, the fourth one is limitation law. You would have got my PPT. I had sent an email some few minutes ago before the starting of this class, and you should have got it. Just a second, my laptop has hanged. Just give me 1 second. I don't know what to say. Just 1 second. So we are starting with plea bargaining today. The relevant sections are section 265A to section 265L. This is chapter 21A of CRPC, introduced by way of amendment in 2006. All right. So what does this concept plea bargaining actually mean? So, in plea bargaining, it's basically a barter. It's basically a trade between the accused and the prosecution office, wherein the accused says, okay, I will admit my guilt, or I offer to admit my guilt. What do you offer me in return? So I am saving your expenditure on the trial. I am saving your time on the trial, and therefore I also want certain benefits. What are those benefits that you will give me? The prosecution in return, or the state, then says, all right, if you agree to accept your guilt without going through a trial, we will give you less punishment, or even, the punishment which is given to you may be very meager, as in we may leave you on probation or admonition. We will not give you full punishment. If minimum punishment, then fine. Or in certain jurisdictions, it is not only sentence bargaining, it is also charge bargaining, that we will charge you not for the higher crime, but we will charge you for the lower crime. So let's say the death of another has been caused. We will not charge you for death, but maybe we will charge you only for culpable homicide not amounting to murder. for which the punishment as such is less. So basically, plea bargain is a bargain with the prosecution. And in two respects, either it can be a charge bargain or it can be a sentence bargain. However, if you pursue the Indian law, you will find that charge bargain as such is not provided under the Indian law. What we have provided is only for sentence bargaining, not for charge bargaining, but for sentence bargaining in a limited way. You would then question me, ma'am, plea bargaining is admission of guilt without even verification. Then isn't it violative of the fundamental rights of the accused? Because no person shall be deprived of his life and personal liberty without procedure established by law. So here there is no procedure and he's only admitting his guilt. The Indian Supreme Court has, for that matter, before 2006, taken a stand that plea bargaining is unconstitutional and it is against public policy. The only thing that the Indian law did recognize was that trial is the rule and other things are exceptions, other means of disposal are exceptions, and they should not be easily used in the criminal proceedings. And in respect of plea bargaining, though there was no provision as such of plea bargaining, but we always had the provision for plea of guilt by the accused. So wherever plea of guilt by the accused was made and the state then said, okay, we will give you less sentence, the court said that this is a kind of a plea bargain. You cannot do that. That is not permissible by the Indian courts. So less sentence only because of the fact that the accused has admitted its guilt is not a relevant criteria in the sentencing policy, and they struck it down. And they said that this is unconstitutional. Indian courts do not recognize that. And proper sentence according to the nature and gravity of the offense should be determined rather than on how this guilt has been determined. The fact that guilt has been determined, that should determine the sentence rather than the procedure of coming to the conclusion of the guilt. The latest case, in which Supreme Court voiced its opinion like this was state of Uttar Pradesh versus Chandrika. Before that, also there had been many cases. However, despite Supreme Court saying so, we know that there have been practical problems in criminal justice system in determination of guilt. Our criminal justice system had been plagued with a lot of backlogs, and accused have been languishing in jail for years after the expiry of the maximum sentences. So under trial prisoners and even prisoners who have served the sentence, they could not come out, and the courts were burdened, more crimes were committed and the previous ones were not adjudicated. Though number of steps have been taken, like increasing the number of courts, having fast track courts, but not much has changed on the ground. And therefore, academicians, law commission have been trying to import certain things from foreign jurisdictions. And one of those things that they did recommend, the law commission did recommend, was let's have plea bargaining on trial basis, on experimental basis. Malimat committee in 2003 was also not opposed to the idea of plea bargaining and said that yes, this can be tried in the criminal justice system so as to remove the problem of pendency. And finally, we had an amendment in 2006. I'm sorry, it is not 2005, it should have been 2006. I'll correct it in my slides. It's 2006. It was introduced by way of amendment in 2006. And now we provide for plea bargain. However, if you read this chapter of plea bargain, you will find that it is not in all criminal cases that an accused is entitled to plea bargain. We have a very narrow set of cases where plea bargain is afforded to the accused. Let's see when he can have a plea bargain, when he cannot have a plea bargain, and what stage is he entitled to file the application. First question, when is the accused entitled to plea bargain? There are certain terms and conditions. You have to read section 265A, B, and 265L. The main things are that the fact that the accused is entitled for plea bargain is not dependent on how the criminal machinery is initiated. The only thing that determines that whether an offense is entitled to plea bargain or not is two factors. One, what is the quantum of punishment for that offense? And secondly, against whom is that offense committed and by whom it is committed. So, irrespective of the fact that whether it is a police case or a complaint case, the accused would nevertheless be entitled to plea bargain if the punishment for an offense is not death or imprisonment for life or for any term exceeding 7 years. Meaning thereby, if it is a police case or a complaint case, for the punishment is up to 7 years. If it is more than 7 years, then plea bargaining is not there. If it is up to 7 years, then there can be plea bargaining. However, there is a second condition. This accused who is bargaining, he should not be a juvenile. So it does not apply to JJ Act, because we feel, there are already benevolent provisions under the JJ Act, and we do feel that a juvenile is not in a position to enter into a contract. So plea bargaining is basically a contract between the prosecution office as well as the accused. So because your juvenile is incompetent to contract as per the provisions of Indian Contract Act, he therefore cannot also be a party to plea bargaining. Therefore, the accused, if he is adult, he will be treated as per the provisions of the Juvenile Justice Act, which are more favorable to the welfare of the child rather than the criminal justice system. But we do have a problem here. What if the accused who is between 16 to 18 years, which amendment was made in your criminal law recently, your JJ Act recently, what about those accused? Whether they can bargain under the criminal justice system? We do not have an answer, but basically I feel that if they have committed a heinous offenses are otherwise not entitled to plea bargaining because it is only less than 7 years. Thirdly, the accused, if he is not an adult and the offense for which he is charged is less than 7 years, then he can bargain for the then he can bargain in the criminal justice system, provided he has not been previously convicted by the court in the same offense. So if he has already been previously convicted, now he cannot plea bargain for the next time. So that's one thing. Also, there are certain disentitlements which disentitle him for bargaining. The first one, as I said, is that the offense should not be punishable for a term exceeding 7 years. Then the offense should not be of such a nature that it is affecting the socio-economic life of the country. And the person against whom the offense has been committed should not be a woman or a child. So if the victim of the offense is a woman or a child, even though it is less than 7 years, then irrespective of the quantum of the punishment, plea bargaining is not allowed. Further, the central government has been permitted to add category of offenses to exempt from plea bargaining. And central government has issued somewhere around 19 laws under which plea bargaining is not there. So, you have your Domestic Violence Act, Dowry Prohibition Act, Sati Act, Indecent Representation Act, Army, Air Force, Navy Act, SC/ST Act. Then you have food adulteration laws. Some of the laws have been repealed now, but yes, they are the ones which cannot be subject to plea bargaining. So central government has expressly mentioned these laws which affect the socio-economic condition from exemption from plea bargaining. Then the question is, okay, if my offense for which I have committed is not the specified offense for which plea bargaining is not allowed, it's an other offense. Let me take an example. A has caused hurt, grievous hurt to B. लड़ाई हो गया ए और बी के बीच में और ए ने बी का दांत तोड़ दिया, दैट अमाउंट्स टू ग्रीवियस हर्ट एज पर योर आईपीसी, एंड दिस इज नॉट एन एग्जेम्प्ट ऑफेंस. अब क्वेश्चन है कि कब ए बी के खिलाफ ये जो ऑफेंस ट्राई हो रहा है, A versus state, when can A make an application for plea bargaining? Can he do that at any stage of the criminal trial? अब उसको लगता है मेरा conviction हो जाएगा, now I should go for plea bargaining, sentence बहुत ज्यादा मिल जाएगा. The answer is no. Now this is subject matter of some debate because the law here, if you read the provisions of chapter 21A, you don't find much clarity. They have referred time and again to this stage, but they haven't very clearly elucidated this stage at which application for plea bargaining is to be entertained. However, very interestingly, in a landmark case in 2019 by the Delhi High Court, Gaurav Agrawal versus State, Delhi High Court Justice Gauba interpreted section 265B of the Act and said that here it is written that the application is to be made in that court for which the offense is pending for trial. So he said it is pending for trial, means trial has not commenced. And when does trial commence? Trial commences at the framing of charges. So in this case, he said it is pending for trial, meaning thereby charges have not been framed. So application for plea bargaining can be made till charges have not been made. So it means application for plea bargaining can be made at any stage prior to the framing of the charge. This means that there is very limited time, in which application for plea bargaining can be made, because we know once cognizance is taken by the court, then there is issue of process or committal proceedings. It is at that time before, framing of charges starts. After notice is served, the next stage is framing of charges, date is fixed. इस बीच में जो बहुत कम time है, then only the accused has to make an application for plea bargaining, as per the judgment of this, as per the judgment of Delhi High Court in this case, because the word used is pending for trial, not pending trial. So it cannot be made at any stage of trial. It has to be before the charges are framed. Next question is, let's say that the application has been made before the charges have been framed. Then what are the steps? What is the procedure for this plea bargaining? The procedure for plea bargaining is mentioned in detail from section 265B to section 265D. The first step that is done is, after application for plea bargaining has been done, is the examination of the accused. The court here, the officer of the court, has to ensure that this man is doing it voluntarily. So one, the application which has been filed has to be filed with an affidavit containing that it is done voluntarily. The nature of the offense has to be described, and the fact that he has not been previously convicted. But voluntariness is must, he has to say that it has been done voluntarily. And then the court will issue a notice to the public prosecutor, to the complainant, and to the accused to appear before him to find out, what is the mood of all the parties, whether the accused has done it voluntarily and whether the PP and the complainant are ready for plea bargaining or not. If all of them appear, then fine, only appearance is required. The court will take the accused alone. He will not have PP or the complainant there and ask कि तुमने application क्यों file किया है, whether you have done it voluntary or not. And his statement with respect to voluntariness or involuntariness is recorded in camera. If he sticks to his statement that yes, I have done it voluntarily, there was no coercion on me, then the next step is there, that time is fixed. Now that you can work out mutual satisfactory disposition. You can all, now permission is given that you can all enter into a contract. आप बताइए क्या करना है केस के साथ. And then notice is issued to all the parties, including the victim here. पहले हमने विक्टिम को नहीं बुलाया, हमने सिर्फ पीपी को बुलाया, लेकिन जब हमें म्यूचुअल सेटिस्फैक्टरी डिस्पोजिशन करना है तब हम विक्टिम को भी बुलाएंगे. सो पीपी, investigating officer, if it is a complaint case, then the complainant, otherwise the victim of the case, they all come together, or the the state can come through the lawyer, the victim can come through the lawyer, and even the accused can come through the lawyer. They all sit together and they work out a contract. आपको कितना compensation चाहिए, आपका क्या इस केस से आप क्या चाहते हैं, एंड अक्यूज्ड ऑल्सो कि मेरे को मिनिमम पनिशमेंट इतना चाहिए, इससे ज्यादा चाहिए तो फिर आई विल गो फॉर अ ट्रायल इंस्टेड. ऑल दोस थिंग्स आर वर्कड आउट हियर in that mutual disposition. Not necessary that the fact that they have agreed for a mutual disposition, it will automatically result. They have to spend some considerable brainstorming here, and if all the parties agree, then only they will prepare and submit a report to the court कि भाई this is what we have drawn, and it will be signed by all the parties and also by the presiding officer of the court. तो कोर्ट क्या लेता है, सब पार्टीज को एक नोटिस देता है दोबारा और बोलता है आप आइए, एंड देन इट आस्क कि भाई आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम है, आपको कोई ऑब्जेक्शन है. अगर किसी को कोई ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं है एंड एवरीवन सेज कि भाई हमने वॉलंटरी एंटर किया है, then the court also affixes its signature and says case will be disposed of on this manner. And next step is that there has to be, this was to come later on, there has to be disposal of the case. अब mutual disposition तो हो गया, compensation fix हो गया, अब court क्या करेगा, ये रिपोर्ट रखेगा अपने पास जिसमें सबसे साइन किया है और अपना एक जजमेंट देगा. लेकिन जजमेंट से हमें पता है पहले क्या होता है, प्री सेंटेंस हियरिंग होता है, तो यहाँ पे भी एक प्री सेंटेंस हियरिंग होगा, which is as per your mutual satisfactory disposition, wherein it will award compensation to the victim and then give punishment to the accused. So if he is bargaining, plea bargaining, it results not in his acquittal, it results in his conviction, but the sentence is less. So punishment will be very lower. So punishment can be, if the case admits for probation, then he will be released on probation, or if the case admits for admonition under section 360 of CRPC, then that. However, if the case cannot be disposed of in these ways, or there is a minimum sentence which is prescribed, then very importantly here, even if there is a minimum sentence, the court can deviate from the minimum sentence and provide only half of the minimum sentence. जब उन्होंने लिखा है कि minimum 1 year, तो अगर plea bargaining हो गया तो वो सिर्फ 1/2 हो जाएगा, यानी कि सिर्फ 6 months का ही punishment उसको मिलेगा. And where मिनिमम इज नॉट प्रिस्क्राइब, लेकिन ये दिया गया है एक्सटेंडेबल पनिशमेंट है, और कोर्ट को लगता है कि वो प्रोबेशन पे रिलीज नहीं कर सकता है, तो जो भी मैक्सिमम पनिशमेंट है या जो भी एक्सटेंडेबल पनिशमेंट है उसका 1/4 उसको दिया जा सकता है. But this is the discretion of the judge to give the punishment. Quantum of punishment is discretion of the judge, but he is not bound by the minimum sentences provided by the law. And this fact is relevant because this chapter is notwithstanding the other provisions of the code. Section 265J. आप बोलोगे मैम ये कैसे हो गया? Then section 265J has said, notwithstanding anything contained in CRPC, this chapter has an overriding offense. And as far as the sentence that he has already undergone, like in any other criminal case, that sentence is set off against the sentence of imprisonment under section 265I. This judgment of the court, which is then pronounced, is the final judgment. There is no appeal against this judgment except by way of the writ. So because by a legislation, the court cannot the legislation cannot override the constitution. So writ petition can be entertained, and special leave petition, that is under 136 of the Constitution of India, can nevertheless be filed. Otherwise, the judgment, apart from the constitutional remedies which are there, there is no remedy under the Criminal Procedure Code, so no appeal. It's a final judgment. However, I'm saying there are so many ifs and buts. What if there is a failure of the plea bargain at any of the stage? अक्यूज के लिए जब टाइम फिक्स किया गया है वो बोले कि भाई ये वॉलंटरी नहीं था, आई वाज कोर्स्ड, या म्यूचुअल सेटिस्फैक्टरी डिस्पोजिशन हो ही नहीं रहा है, विक्टिम इज आस्किंग फॉर अ मच हायर कॉम्पनसेशन व्हिच इज बियॉन्ड द एबिलिटी ऑफ द अक्यूज टू पे, then what? Then the answer is the fact that, you know, once you have opted for plea bargain does not mean that the case cannot go for trial. If at any stage it fails, then the court has all the power to start the trial from the stage from which the application was filed. Again, they have used the word stage, you know, so this has created enormous confusion that as to what stage the application for plea bargain can be entertained. And lastly, and very importantly, if let's suppose the case has now commenced on trial, then whatever the accused has written, he had already admitted his guilt. This admission is not relevant, even though the accused was examined by the judge on oath. This cannot be used against the accused separately. For this purpose, many of the states, particularly Delhi, what they have done is they have constituted special judges, plea bargain judges, जो डिटर्मिन करते हैं कि एप्लीकेशन प्रॉपर्ली फाइल हुआ है या नहीं हुआ है. तो अगर फेल हो जाता है, देन दे आर नॉट द वंस हु विल ट्राई द केस विल बी ट्राइड बाय अनदर जज. Why they have done this? Because यहाँ पे जज के खिलाफ एक बायस नहीं होगा कि इसका एप्लीकेशन प्ली बार्गेन में फेल हो गया था लेकिन ये गिल्टी ही है. So as to remove that tinge of biasness, Delhi has done a wonderful job in having separate classes of judges for plea bargain and separate for trial of the case, which needs to be explored even by some other states. Then these statements cannot be used, but yes, we also have to remove the bias. So as they say, justice is not only done but seen to be done. तो जिस जज को पता था कि पहले एंटरटेन कर चुका है लेकिन सिर्फ फेलियर हो गया लेटर स्टेज पे, तो he should not have a bias against the accused. It should, then the case should be proved beyond reasonable doubt only, and only then he will be convicted. Now the question is whether it is followed or not. The answer is there has not been a failure of plea bargaining. Unlike some literature that you read, the only thing that has happened is not many sociologists or academicians have actually went and interviewed people who have gone for a plea bargaining. They've not done that. But if you see the statistics provided by the government, refer to the recent Crime in India reports. The recent one we have is for 2018. In that, if you read, you will find lot many cases going for plea bargaining. There are statistics available. So in cases where it is allowed, there are cases in which applications are being filed on plea bargaining and they are being entertained by courts. It's just that we don't have decision of Supreme Court of plea bargaining, because कभी कोई मैटर शायद आया ही नहीं है. सिर्फ इतना सुप्रीम कोर्ट, लेकिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी बहुत सारी जजमेंट्स में बोला है, basically under 138 Negotiable Instrument Act, कि one of the way of disposal of that also is प्ली बार्गेनिंग. आप प्ली बार्गेनिंग क्यों यूज नहीं करते हो, लेकिन उन्होंने डिटेल में प्रोसीजर में इलैबोरेट नहीं किया है. That's all with respect to plea bargaining. But before I sign off, I have some questions to you. Basically, two questions. One, what is the difference between guilty plea and plea bargaining? Guilty plea हमने पहले भी किया था. So what is the difference between a plea of guilt and a plea bargain? Secondly, if plea bargain has been deemed to be unconstitutional till 2006, what changed in 2006 that made it constitutional overnight? So these are some of the questions that I wanted to ask. Now I have your questions. I have given a brief